Hello and welcome to today's class. My name is Alyssa. In today's lesson, we will paint a portrait of an elderly man named Orville. He has deeply set eyes that are rich in color. We'll achieve depth through layering pigment one by one. It's honestly my favorite technique, so I'm very excited to show you how to do this. Let's go. Welcome to today's class. I'm so excited that you're here with me. We will be painting Orville, and I just was immediately drawn to his photo, I think because he's got kind eyes. He's got a lot of really deep colors going throughout his face, these glowing ears, and then the glasses that kind of sit lower on his nose, and he's peeking over them. I just thought that it would make for a really nice portrait, kind of almost Norman Rockwell style-esque is kind of what it reminded me of. So jumping into our palette, I'm seeing fuzzes. We have Payne's Gray, which is in this dish right here with Peacock Blue. I have Quinacridone Rose, which is right here in this dish with Peacock Blue repeated. In this next one, we have Perylene Maroon and Sap Green. It gives us that nice brown. And in the last one, we have Pyro Orange, Indian Yellow, and I did put another touch of Quinacridone Rose in here. So you'll see me kind of mix between the four ceramic dishes, palettes, but I try to keep them somewhat segregated by certain types of colors. But I do sometimes start pulling, an orange over or whatever. So going into our brushes, I have 3 different angled brushes. Both of these are 1/4 of an inch flat angled brush. This one has been kind of chewed down quite a bit, so it's not got as thin of an edge as this one. It's also 1/4 of an inch. This one's a 1/2 an inch that we'll use for some bigger sweeps here and there. And I have 3 rounds. One's a 10, a 4, and then a 1 for some itty bitty areas. I do recommend having either paper towel or something absorbent like a cloth, or I've even seen rolls of toilet paper with rubber bands strapped around them, and to something just to absorb off that excess water and paint that you get on your brush. And then a water bucket of some sort, something to rinse your brushes on. So let's see, I also did use a little bit of masking fluid on my transfer of Orville on his glasses, just to make it a little easier on myself, and a few little spots in his eyebrows. You don't have to, you can kind of go around those areas. It's not a must, and you can actually come back in with white gouache or a white gel pen. I've seen that used also to kind of give those highlights if you get too much paint in those areas. So feel free to do that if you want. I did transfer his image, and to save on time, I printed off his photo, used a drawing pencil. This is like a 2B, shaded in the back side, and went over the major areas in his face to quickly get that done. If you have time to actually sketch him in, I by all means recommend that. I always recommend that if you have the time. But in this case, I chose to show you a faster method, and I've been pressed for time as of recent, so I went ahead and transferred it. You can use, I've seen backlights and projectors as well. There's lots of different ways to quickly get an image put on the paper. The paper that I'm using is 140-pound cold press Arches paper. And let's just dig right in. Let's start with I'm going to use this angled brush, and I'm going to go into his eyes is where I am wanting to start with the Pearly Maroon, which is right here in this dish. And I'm going to just put in, I tend to work slowly and develop colors like very, very thin layers, a little bit at a time. But I know that I can't do that, so I'm going to try to move as quickly as possible with the lesson. So Pearly Maroon, I'm down in these deep, like the hooded areas of his eye socket, kind of below his eyebrow, and in the eyelid. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So I feel like I kind of work backwards from maybe some artists, watercolor artists. I tend to paint in some details first to kind of place where areas are on the model or the photo that I'm painting, and then do a wash. I don't know, I feel like I see a lot of watercolor artists start with like a big wash over the whole area, and it just to me, I always find that interesting because everyone works differently, has a different method for how they achieve the final product. And I think it just goes to show no one way is right and no one way is wrong. So I'm just putting in some of these darks around his nostrils now. Hopefully you're following along a little bit with me as I jabber. And I'm going to pull a little bit more Pearly Maroon down into this area over here. Just kind of looking for some of the lines. Okay. And while we have this, I'm going to go ahead and go down into this mouth, this line where his lips come together. So this is Pearly Maroon with, there is some sap green mixed in, but I would say I have more Pearly Maroon on my brush than sap green to make it lean a little bit more red. I probably should have grabbed my littler brush, like the 4, has a good point on it. Just to kind of start, I like to start building up the pigment layers. Kind of comes down right there. Okay. And I want to get this area right here. Just kind of looking for some really darker red, pink areas. So around this area of his cheek, kind of like a little, I don't think it's maybe some pigment there that is darker or a shadow. And then kind of on the same other side of his glasses and his nose, There's kind of a dark area right in here. Kind of wraps around. Kind of like that. Okay, I'm rinsing. I'm going to move some of these paintbrushes. I'm going to go, I'm going to grab this size 4 round. And I want to use some of this pink. It's quinacridone rose. And I want to put some on top of kind of where we were up in these eyes. To kind of have it peek through underneath that reddish brown color. Just a little bit. So it is going to be a challenge to get all of his wrinkles in an hour and a half time span. But so we're gonna just try to concentrate on some of the main areas in his face to give a overall impact. So I'm grabbing a little bit more. If you notice here in my dish, I have more of a purple, like bluish mix between the two and more of a pink mix on this side. They both have rose and peacock blue in both of those. It's just less of one or the other. A variation within the two. Okay, I'm going to grab some of this sap green. It does have a little bit of that Perylene maroon in there, but it's definitely leaning more sap. And I'm just going to kind of work it into where, like some of these areas in between. Feel like it transitions from warm to cooler tones out here. If you really look at wrinkles up close, which I find just super fascinating when you really study faces, is they're a lot like material or cloth. When you paint cloth, they've got folds, and I mean that's essentially what it is. It's a fold of skin, and it has a highlight, a dark, and a medium tone within each one. So I'm still using that sap green, trying to give some little lines over here, some indication of these really beautiful wrinkles in his face. I think Orville kind of reminds me of one of my grandfathers, and he just, with more wrinkles, I feel like there's you gain a story with each wrinkle you have on your face. And it seems to be a taboo thing, any more wrinkles in our society. But really, when you start looking at, they're a gift, because you're living longer. And I wish that it would become the norm of being accepted more. Not really sure why. We all want to get rid of them. Okay, I'm going to go back to that sap green. I know I'm kind of skipping around between rose and green over in here. And I'm going to bleed a little bit there, it looks like. But that's okay to run into one another. A little bit more sap green. It's kind of some areas that curl around on that side. So I'm just pulling some, there's like a kind of some pigment over here, and it's greenish, brownish. So I'm just going to kind of pull some of the brown, and then I'll grab some green. So it's that Pearly Maroon sap green mix, and just kind of going, kind of organically adding some, not worrying too much about making it exact, but kind of following some of those shapes in there. Okay, let's go to the other eye real quick, and I have some of the sap green again on my paintbrush, size 4 round. And I will say, just use whatever's comfortable to you. If everyone's style is a little different, so if you want to use a flat brush, go for it. If you want to use whatever. I think it's awesome when I see those giant quills when they come down to the point and people are able to control those. I just haven't quite learned how to do that. And this is kind of my comfort zone. So I switched over to the quinacridone rose, and I'm dropping in, like I did over here, some of those glowy highlights around these deeply set eyes. Kind of glows inside of here. I think some of it is from the reflection of his shirt, but I find that if you look at most mature eyes, they do have a glowy quality to them. Okay, I'm going to take the rose, and there's like a, right here on between his eyes, it comes down to the edge of his glasses. It's more pink. So I'm just going to take that like that and kind of pull it back right there. And I'm going to grab a little bit of the pyrrole orange. I have rose on my brush still. And I'm going to take that down and around on this side of his nose. And continue it down. His nose is very pink. It's warm. So I'm going to do kind of a bigger area wash of pinky orange on his nose. And then I just touched the water with my brush. Still have that same pinky orange. I'm gonna pull it up this bridge because it kind of fades out a little bit up here to carry that continuity of color kind of up his nose. So I just grabbed a little bit of purple to do these wrinkles that go across the bridge of his nose. And I still have that pinky, orangey, and then I had added some purple on my brush. I need a little bit more. So this is Pyro Orange with Quinacridone Rose. And I'm gonna go around this area really quick with this pink color. Kind of mix it in this zone. Okay, I want to go down into and develop a couple shadows that I see. So I'm rinsing my brush off. It has quite a bit of red from earlier in it. It's this one. It's the angled flat brush, a 1/4 inch. And I'm going to take the purple, so it's Peacock Blue with Quinacridone Rose, and it's leaning more blue though. And let's just come down into this area. I'm going to grab a little bit more blue, I think. And it kind of angles. See this shadow that comes across down his face? We're just going to take that bluish purple color, come down. I'm going to grab a little bit of just drop that blue in there. And then it actually kind of, see, comes down over into his chin. I'm just gonna carry that down. See, it comes down there. And I'm definitely exaggerating the color a bit. It's not this blue or purple, but I think that this will look really nice once we get it in here. So created a little bit of a backwash effect when I dropped in more water. So I'm kind of mixing in this area so that it evens out. Okay. So I'm going to take that, I have that purple kind of on my brush still. Just going to pull it like into some of these lines where they like kind of fade out almost into shadowy areas up here. Kind of see some right in here. And then almost right here. feel like this side is a little bit more, it's less warm. The sides kind of are. There's like a little V shape right here that's kind of purple. I actually feel like there's a little bit, I'm just going to drop, since I have some of that resist in, or I call it resist, the masking fluid in his eyebrows. I'm just going to put a little bit of pinky purple kind of in here to layer that up. So I feel like whenever I load my brush up with a color, I look, where is purple? You know, like where is this color, that color? And I start to kind of layer some of the different areas. So I'm going to take a little bit more pink, and I want to actually, there's kind of some dimples right here. Like it's an indentation of some sort, like above the eyebrows. So I'm just going to kind of tap here. And then there's some on the other side also. Okay, I'm going to go back to this size 4 round, and let's get some, you need to kind of work on these eyes a little bit. Let's go over to this left side and put in, I'm using Payne's Gray, and kind of start sketching in, drawing in with paint this eye. And this eye, I see like a little bit of a fleck of light in it. Actually, I see a couple, but it's really dark. So I'm just moving some of that water around. I got a lot of water in here. I'm gonna leave it like that. Actually, those are a little low. That's okay. There we go. And then same with the other side. There's a little fleck in this side too of light. Okay, and I'm gonna just drop a little bit, I've got a lot of water on my brush, a little bit just in the corner. It's more red to me, but I want to get that dark kind of developed faster than normal because of our limited amount of time. So let's see, if you want to just keep layering the reds and pinks, you can. That's what I would normally do, but I'm going to just do it for now. There we go. I realized I missed, I want to put that shadow kind of down here, but I'm going to use it more on the pink side, so more rose but it kind of falls under the chin right here. I guess this is his neck, and it seems to come across like that. There we go. I don't like this hard edge here. I'm gonna kind of fade it out. It was a little bit more pink, so I'm pulling it up in there so it doesn't look too off. And I'm gonna pull a little on this side too. Okay. Let's take the Pyrrole Orange and Rose mixture and come under this eye where there's kind of a deep wrinkle here. And I'm going to actually grab a little bit of the Pearly Maroon, and I'm going to pull that this way, like up the shape I have off there. So kind of like that. And maybe a little bit more rose right in this edge corner. These real deep areas I want to pop with color, or that's what I'm trying to do. We'll see if we achieve that. So a little bit more rose, and I'm going to come back and deepen this area, maybe a little bit more maroon right there on top of it. So it kind of arches, like there's dark underneath, and then so it's kind of shaped like this, and then there's like a little bit of a line that shoots out like that. And okay, that's wet, so I'm gonna let that dry. Let's go over into the ear. On this side, let's grab some Pyrrole Orange. So I'm using just straight, really deep pigment, like a lot of pigment is on my brush, of Pyrrole Orange. And I just, this ear, when ears glow, I just think they're so pretty. It is probably, well, it is. It's one of my favorite features to paint, or body parts to paint. So I'm going to take it around and here. I'm slowly pulling like a watered version. I don't think I explained. So I dipped my brush and then pulled a watery, like a less saturated version. It's a watered down version of the same Pyrrole Orange pigment that I put on this side. I want this to kind of set up and dry into the paper a bit before I start putting in some other colors. And there's kind of a really deep, dark, shadowed spot down here on the lobe, the bottom of his ear. So I have Pearly Maroon. And then there's a couple little, and I think they're a little bit more purple. So I'm going to grab just a little bit of purple on my brush. And I do have still Pearly Maroon on there. And there's like two little lines here, and then it starts to come up. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of like the purple on the rose side of things. And I'm just going to kind of pull that up a bit. And then let's grab, because this area is starting to dry a bit, Pearly Maroon for these really deep darks. And then I'm rinsing my brush off and I'm grabbing Rose, so quinacridone Rose with Pyrrole Orange, and I'm gonna pull this into that, like this line that I see right here. Just to really highlight that area. I'm going to go over here to this other side while this one's drying a little bit, and I'm taking quinacridone Rose with Pyrrole Orange mixed. And so I don't know if you can even see it on here, but I have like I dipped my brush too much into the water, and I've learned the hard way that if I get, if I over dip my brush into the water, it'll come up here and it'll sneak up on me where it'll slowly just drip down, and then I'll have like a big puddle gush rush of water that runs down into my brush, and then it totally screws up an area that I'm painting, and that's very frustrating. So be on the lookout for drips that are hidden on your brush. So this side is a little bit more on the pink side, in my opinion. This one's a little more orange. So I'm going to, and I see like an area that kind of comes out like this. So I just dabbed my brush and dipped it into the water and then blotted it off, and I'm going to blot it one more time because this is still a little too wet. And I'm just pulling that muted pink or the watered down pink kind of up into the more saturated pink. I don't want to quite touch too much up there yet because it'll start to blend together. And I want that to stay pretty dark pink up there. And it actually kind of comes like out like this. And I see purple along this back side of his ear, the edge, I guess I should say. And just gonna kind of pull that down and around that purple. And now I'm gonna kind of start to join the two a little up. And then a little bit of purple right here. Okay, I want to hop over to this other ear. I'm going to grab some yellow with a little bit of the Pyrrole Orange and start to blend these two kind of in together. And I think it needs a little bit of the purpley pink up here. So I just kind of blended that bottom lobe together so it's not stark white, because it's got some warmth to it also. And maybe a little bit more orangey pink right down in here. And this red did bleed down, but I'm not too it still looks like an ear to me. And maybe a little bit of orange. So I have some resist here, or the masking fluid be right on there, because I knew I would probably paint over that hair and I didn't want to. I wanted it to kind of shine through. I'm just gonna pull a little really faint pink kind of up into that purple shadow there. Okay, let's go back into the eyes real quick with a, let's see, some pyrrole orange, maybe a touch of Indian yellow, and get this upper lid kind of worked in here, some of the warmth. I'm gonna actually take more pyrrole orange and kind of just blend it down into this area. And I feel like it needs some Quin Rose in here. Oops, it's a little bit too much, but we can blend it and pull it up. This is Quin Rose and Pyrrole Orange. Just trying to get a little bit, I don't want to like overdo it, because that area is a little bit more fleshy in color. So I just grabbed a little bit of green there because I missed an area, and I'm going to pull that around there. And then there's like a little bit, I want to work a little bit of brown hues into these eyebrows. So this is sap green and pyrrole maroon, or Pyroline maroon. And I'm just kind of going over and around in some of these. There's some darker areas, so I'll just tap in some color. Maybe a little bit of rose right here in this. There's like a pigment spot right here. And let's go to the other eye and drop in some of the, I originally just dropped in some rose and pyrrole orange, but I really want the yellow, the Indian yellow mixed in here because it's lighter over here. And I went ahead and dropped some on the other side too. little bit in there. Kind of goes out. Actually, I think I'm missing like there a line that should be there, but okay, and we'll do the same with this eyebrow with some of the brown mixed in. Maybe a little bit of the purpley rose mixed with the brown. I feel like there's purples and browns both in here. Kind of it's darker up in this section. Okay, let's go to the chin, and I'm taking the brown mix, so Pearly Maroon and Sap Green. Sorry if I'm super repetitive. I just want to make sure you know. On this chin, I got this shape off. Let's see, it goes down like this. And I'm gonna take, I just rinsed my brush off and dabbed it on my paper towel. So it's a little bit wet, it's a little too wet. And I'm gonna pull up a little bit of that brown color down here. And I'm actually going to grab some rose and drop it in. So I want this to be, it's more, to me, brownish pink. And there's some areas that kind of come up. And I honestly took up this side a little bit too far, but that's okay, we can work with it. Kind of flares up like this. And then there's more that comes down and around in here. I think it'll work to our benefit, actually. And then I'm gonna take some of that pink and pull it up this way. Get that little deep set wrinkle on that area under his mouth in. And I have a little bit of brown and the purpley pink. So it's kind of a muted rosy pink, I guess. And it's on my brush. I'm just kind of putting in a little bit of these areas that have some irregular, just texture and color pigmentation. And it actually kind of comes up and some in here. So, and up in here, it's really warm under, I'm actually gonna grab some of the orange under there, under that nostril, and it kind of wraps around. And then the tip of the nose is very pink and has like a orange kind of to it. And it kind of goes up this way like that. I'm just going to take a little bit of that kind of orange that's on my brush and bring it around. And I just wet my brush and I'm going to pull it into this area that we didn't really have color before. And I want to take Pearly Maroon. I'm going to set it right over here, or I'm just setting it in a different section of my dish. Rinsing my brush and grabbing some of the rose. So I have like a reddish pink, because the Pearly Maroon is kind of like a brick. It's got a brick tone to it. Almost like a brown undertone of some sort. So it gives like a rich, deep color. I'm gonna just take a little bit around this area. And I feel like it needs to come up more right in here, because it kind of blends in there. So that was more of the brown that I just dropped in. I feel like I have it too far this way. So I'm gonna drop in, well, it's too wet I think right now. I'm gonna put in purple right there. Which may have been a mistake. Okay, let's take out this pink through his cheek a little bit more. I'm just seeing lots of spots that we need to hit before we do like a big wash over his face. So I'm gonna take, this is Pyrrole Orange and Quinacridone Rose. I'm kind of just taking it up in here. And it kind of comes up, it's more of a purple, not so pink. So I want to mute that. So I just dropped in a little bit of purple and there. And drop in, oops, a little bit of brown. It kind of neutralizes it, makes it a little less vibrant. And there's like a little spot kind of like right here. So I'm just looking for colors, and there's like a few right here, little shapes, and there's some little like freckly things right here. I think I placed them a little wrong. It's okay. There. There's some over here. Okay, let's add some pink around his lips. There's a little bit of a glow that comes out. His lips are pretty thin, but I do see some pink. Okay, I want to take some of this sap green. I realized I didn't mix and pull this in the shadow that comes from his nose back. Kind of goes like that. And some green right in here. I need some of these lines on the side of his cheek. Actually, it's like more green right back in here. Like a brownish green kind of tone. I love to see different interpretations of color and line and shape for like the same photo. So I'm excited to see what you guys create with this and how you interpret Orville. So I want to take some of that pink up this way. Kind of comes out. Yee. My brush is hitting my phone. And there needs to be some warmth down in here. So I'm going to take that same pinkish orangish color and I'm going to just pull it in here. And it kind of comes, I want to just put a little bit there, warm it up just a bit. And same with on this side, it need to finish warming this cheek up. I'm going to grab some yellow and orange actually. So I'm going to take some of this and pull it up this way. Okay, let's go into the eyes one more time. The whites of his eyes are almost like a pinkish red, which I want to get that in there and I haven't yet. But there needs to be some variation to me in the tones of his eyes. So I'm going to grab a little bit of brown and Payne's Gray and come up to this upper area. I wonder if I don't know if you can see it on there or not, but zoom in on your side if you're able to, and you can kind of see there's like some lines that come down, because even like the darkest eye will have variations in tones and value. It's really kind of hard to tell. But I like to try to get a little bit of depth achieved, because otherwise it looks flat and an eyeball is round and it reflects the light differently. Every once in a while I'll see an eyeball that's almost darn near black, but still, the light reflects off of something. You know, if you think of a marble that's black, it's going to reflect it. It's a sphere. So you got to look for those shiny, lighter spots, even if they're like a darker gray or a lighter gray. It's where you got to just kind of study things. So I'm going to just pull that way a little bit more, and same with there, to make sure we get some of that depth. I'm just going to put a hair up there. Okay. I'm going to let those sit, and then we'll come back in with some pinks in his eyes. Oh, I'm like shedding there. Let's grab some the pinkish orange, so rose and pyrrole orange, and go into this neck. I'm gonna actually add a little bit of this reddish rose mix. Oops, I just stuck my hand in a wet spot. Okay, going back to rose, so quinacridone rose and pyrrole orange. And I want to take some of this brown mix and come in next to this area and going around, because it's a darker color here with some green. I'm going to pull it up where there's some wrinkles that I see here and there. It actually kind of comes that way. And just gonna kind of rub out this area a little bit. I don't like some of these lines in here. Okay. I'm gonna grab a little bit of purple. I'm moving up here, just seeing some of these areas that are darker in here. A little bit more purpley brown, I guess, on my brush. And then I'm gonna pull some of this through there too. And I think I'll do the same. This is Pyrrole or quinacridone rose with perylene maroon. So I just want to soften this area right here, hair. And I'm going to take a little bit of the orange and yellow mix and just go over this area of his nose. Okay. Taking a little bit of the Pyrrole orange. And some of the rose down here. I think a little bit of the brown still. Kind of a richer tone. And then kind of that same thing over on this side to push this area back. And then the rose orange mix kind of down in here. I'm going to drag a little bit through there. Maybe even a little bit here. And then I'm realizing that there's like a shadow right here that is more pink but purple. So I grabbed the purple mix, which is peacock blue and quin rose, and I am pulling it this way, but it's a little bit more on the pink side. So I'm just going to pull that through there, and I just grabbed some brown, kind of working it in to build up some of the variation in here. Okay, let's do some hair. Let's let this area kind of, except I'm seeing this is, I don't want that edge to be too crazy. Let's do hair. So I like a purpley blue mixture for white hair. I feel like it complements it, makes it look more white. So I'm just going to use the angled brush again, and I'm coming up into the areas that are kind of shadowed, or it has like a tone to it, and just kind of suggest the shape of his hair. And again, up, there's like a little bit, there's a hair that kind of, oops, I'm going to make that thinner. I'm even going to take just a little bit back that way. And I know there's a shiny spot on his head, but I'm going to use Artistic Freedom here and go ahead, and I see his hairline. I see some different bits of value back there where it kind of carries. So I'm gonna let it continue and ignore that shiny bright spot. And I'm just gonna carry that same bluish purple on this side. And then actually, let's go ahead and put in a big wash of that same purpley blue color right where his shirt kind of is, but I want it to be very faint and watery. So I'm just gonna take it and pull it down. So it's more on the blue side, but I definitely have rose in there. I'm gonna just take a little bit more and make it darker in the areas that are darker. And back out this way. And then do the same on the other side. It kind of is right in here. Oops. This is wet and so it's bleeding. I touched the two, so I'm gonna dab that because I really don't want that to happen. I'm gonna stay away from there as much as I can. And I think I'm just gonna take it like that. That wet spot's kind of cramping my style because I wanted to get it a little darker in there. So kind of like that. Okay, I am going to actually dry him and then come right back to save on time. So I'll be right back. Okay, I just went over him with the blow dryer. I'm gonna quickly work in another big wash over his face. And I want this Indian yellow and Pyro orange mix. Add some more water. And then, let's see, some of this rose pink kind of color. So I'm gonna pull some this way. which I have some over here. I'm going to mix it in because I feel like his overall tone is a little bit more on the pink side, but this will kind of start to make him pop a little bit more and look like he's alive because he's not got a lot of warmth in here. So let's just go in with a very watery color. And I splatter. I kind of use gravity to my advantage. I'm gonna grab more of the Quin Rose to start to bring it down in there. Kind of across here. I'm going over his whole face with a wash, and I try to look for areas that are lighter or darker. Like this area is lighter, so I'm going to flush this with a little bit more water so it's not so saturated. And then same with like kind of right up here, I'm going to touch there. It's going to create a backwash because I already went there, but if we keep moving it, it won't. A little bit more pink. I'll get in those eyes and down around in here. A little bit more of that orangey yellow mix. So then what I'll also do is take like a smaller brush and I'm gonna just kind of, I don't like that I can see these pencil lines, so I'm gonna try to kind of rub them out, like massage them out a bit with the paintbrush here. And maybe like a little bit right here. I'm gonna add some water to kind of flesh it out. I don't like those lines. There's some areas that I'm seeing with lines that I don't like to see my pencil marks. So you can even take like your paper towel and lift, and then you can add back in. That was a little bit too much, so I just want some areas kind of lighter highlights. I painted this earlier, I believe, so it may not come up. Did a little bit. So we're just kind of fine-tuning some areas, and then I will need to pause it to remove this resistant or the masking fluid. And take some of that like this. Maybe that'll help a little bit there. I don't want to crosshatch in his head because it doesn't quite look that way. So I'm just looking for areas that need like some darker tones. Like his eyebrows, I think, could benefit from some darks in here. And even like maybe a little bit of this greenish, right? Maybe not. Like a pink right here. So there's a lot of areas in these eyes that I feel like should be deeper and darker. So I'm trying to quickly just add a little bit of that in here. So that's a benefit and a con, a pro and a con of, you know, washes. And that's why, generally speaking, I feel like I see people do washes first and then they layer on top. But I kind of wanted to blur out some of these lines a little bit. Around his eyes and stuff. But then there's some that we really want deep. To me, some matter more than others. Kind of there, maybe there. Put a little bit down his chin and this area is really off as far as the shape, so I want to kind of correct that a little bit. And kind of pull those in around there. A little bit of darker tone there. I mean, I could keep adding, I think, all day. Oops. Okay. I mean, I think he's at a decent spot. Let's see real quick. I want to grab a little bit purple and put it right here. There. Oops. The dreaded word, oops. Okay, I'm going to dry him and remove this masking fluid and come right back. Okay, so I removed the masking fluid. I I do want to add in a little bit of his frames and just kind of soften some of these white areas because it kind of looks like sesame seeds right now. So let's just go in and kind of get some of the frames darkened. I'm using the brown mixture, pearly maroon and sap green. That picked up a little bit more green in it. Trying to get a lot of pigment on there. I know this is kind of boring watching this part, but it really can make everything pop at the end. My hand would be steady. This way. So I'm just going around in those areas and I'm not doing the best job here, but I may clean them up a little bit afterwards. Let's go into the eyebrows, and I'm just gonna grab like a little bit of brown, and actually I'm gonna mix a little purple in there, kind of almost a grayish tone. And I'm just gonna soften because they're really bright and they're not quite that bright. It makes them look kind of fake, so I don't want it to look, we want to soften them, make them look a little more natural. And if you have time, you could actually go in around them and kind of paint it. That's why I don't always use masking fluid, because I feel like I have trouble getting really thin lines with the fluid, and I need to find like maybe a better type, but I think there's some tools you can use that are like little blades and stuff. I probably should invest in something like that, but I work on aquaboard a lot, so I can scratch out those darks with an X-Acto blade. So that's why I don't think I really worry too much about that sort of thing. But okay, I think he's kind of to a stopping point where it looks like Orville. I mean, there's areas that, yeah, we could keep going darker in the eyes. And then down here, I didn't really finish this out, but I think he's at a good spot overall. And I'm pretty pleased with how much we've gotten done in the time that we have. So I am so grateful that I was able to teach you something hopefully new today. And let me know if you have any questions. I've really enjoyed painting Orville with you.